Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Coming up, we will talk about whether or not this is the greatest Ole Miss signing class in Ole Miss football history. I will get your opinion on that. We'll talk about the things going on. We'll compare it to recent classes in memory. We'll also dive into schematically how this team might look going into the spring. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the official visitor we had on campus this weekend and what that bodes for the defense. Anyway, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Stick around.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Ole Miss podcast. And again, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor and hit subscribe, hit the bell, and of course, give the video an upvote. Lots to get to with the addition of Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg to the Ole Miss class, the current number one signing class out there at Ole Miss right now. And there might be still more yet to come before signing day. So pay attention to that and, look at whatever's going on. Also, today we want to talk about the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what is your favorite Ole Miss signing class and why? Do me a favor in the comments. Tell me the answer that you're thinking of for what is your favorite Ole Miss signing class and why. If you're listening to this on one of the numerous podcatchers out there, shoot me a text message at the Stephen Willis. Again, that is at the Stephen Willis. Do that for me, and we can kind of dive into where this class ranks. Anyway, in my opinion, this is the most important and best signing class in Ole Miss history. I will say that again. This is the most important and best signing class in Ole Miss history. In 2013, you had a very top-heavy class. I mean, you just did. It was fairly top-heavy, and that is okay. In 2016, it was a very complete class, but you ended up not hitting on much of any of them moving forward. They all ended up at different places they started. Shea Patterson ended up at Michigan. Van Jefferson ended up at Florida. Trey Nixon ended up at Central Florida. Greg Eisworth ended up at Iowa State. And it just went on and on and on. Deontay Anderson ended up at Houston. That affects the way you view that class. Now, A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, great. That's absolutely fantastic of what's going on. And because of that, it gets slanted a little bit. Now, we went into probation right after that, and the NCAA end of the colonoscopy really started like 3 days before signing day. So the 2016 class, in my opinion, just does not count. It just doesn't. DK and AJ, Rebels, great Rebels. Yes, that period I actually think of fondly with the players that we had, but also remember the bad times that we had as well. 2013 was an extremely top-heavy class. Everybody remembers Kimdichie. Everybody remembers Treadwell. Everybody remembers Tunsil. Everybody remembers Connor. And that was, putting jet fuel on the class. What you don't realize is Devontae Kincaid and Ryan Buchanan were two of the 4 stars. And situations like that dropped the numbers down significantly. Ole Miss had, I think, 11 4 stars or higher in that class. If you take away those others, you had about a 6 or 7 hit rate among those players. We're going to try and get somebody that wants to talk analytics and recruiting. We're going to save the name a little bit for what's going on, but we're going to try and set that up this week so you can hear exactly what he's talking about and where these classes kind of go. As I'm pretty interested in that. So if you look at that, 2013, very top heavy. Also 4 direct hits at the top. All the 5 stars hit. 2016, they kind of didn't stick around and stay at Ole Miss. They went to other schools, and that kind of blew up the 2016 class, at least as a perception. 2022, you have Jaxson Dart, former Gatorade National Player of the Year. We haven't had one of those at Ole Miss. It's probably as close to the Kimdichie number one player in the country as you can get without actually getting the number one player in the country. At wide receiver, Laquan Treadwell. We haven't really gotten our wide receiver, but we have Michael Trigg, who was a consensus top 100 recruit coming out of high school. Then you have Larry Tunsil, who's a 5-star, and then you mix him with Mason Brooks. Just a huge get. This kid has been underrated from the jump, and it'll be nice to see him at the SEC level and kind of able to show out. So Mason Brooks kind of fills that void. Defensively, Tony Connor, I just say Ashim Young. And also potentially the kid from Georgia Tech. His name escapes me at the moment. Jared Ivey. He's 6'6", 275 pounds. Appreciate you correcting me on the weight. We was going off of 24/7. Apparently he's put on 50 pounds at Georgia Tech, but he's 6'6", 275. So he's a pretty big dude. So you take those and you kind of mix them up a little bit, and you end up with a cocktail of a very, very good recruiting class. I am in the raise expectations mode. We're not even to spring practice yet, and it's definitely raise expectations time. I'm at the point where I've already talked myself into 9 or 10 wins going into 2022. And that is actually fairly important. But I genuinely think this is the best class that has ever come through Ole Miss football, ahead of 2013 and ahead of 16. I'm curious about your favorite. Drop me a comment below or send me a tweet at the Stephen Willis, and we will talk about that and discuss that as well. But I'm pretty excited about what is going on. I mean, Ole Miss football is kind of where you want it to be. And the Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg situation, it just put jet fuel on this recruiting class. I know I like to say that for some reason that's going back and forth, but yes, you can absolutely put jet fuel on this class. And that is why I think this class is the best class in the history of Ole Miss. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments below, and we'll discuss it. If I don't answer it, I'm probably reading the answers regardless. I don't have time to do all of those, but I generally look at those every day. And those who have commented on previous videos are well aware of what's going on. Hey, old Locked On Ole Miss podcast audience. This is Stephen Willis with an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. GetUpside. My listeners are earning cash back for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free GetUpside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use the promo code SCORE for 25 cents per gallon or more on your first fill up. Cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using GetUpside. Just download the app for free and use promo code SCORE for 25 cents per gallon or more on your first tank. That's cash back. Some people who drive a lot are making as much as $200 or $300 a year. Cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account. You can cash out at any time in your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card like Amazon or other brands. Just download the free GetUpside app. Use promo code SCORE to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back on your first tank. That is code SCORE. Sounds like a pretty cool deal there. So check those guys out if you don't mind. All right. Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor and hit subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll know when new videos are posted. And, of course, upvote the video. That'll help us out greatly. So thank you very much for listening, watching, however you take in the show. We've been talking about why I think the 2022 class is the greatest signing class in Ole Miss football history. Now let's get into a little bit of how this class will translate in pre-spring to offensively and defensively. And There's people that argue back and forth and they talk about whatever they want to do. They want to have a schematic conversation, but they only want the answers to the question the way they want the answers. You know, those type of people. And they want to say, hey, any chances we're going to line up in 3 tight ends and run the Maryland eye and all that? No, the offense is going to look the same as it has the last 5 years. Charlie Weiss Jr. has been Lane Kiffin's offensive coordinator. The offense is not going to change. This is Lane's offense. Even through Kendall Briles, through Charlie Weiss Jr., through Jeff Lebby, and now through Charlie Weiss Jr., this is Lane's offense. And personnel-wise, it is starting to be developed in the way that he wants it developed. He wants a big, strong-arm, mobile quarterback. Check. Jaxson Dart. Excellent. Exactly what you want. If he didn't have a meniscus injury last year, you would have got to see more of his mobility. Look online on YouTube after you've watched this video. Check out the Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg highlights, especially Michael Trigg. This is a tight end we have not had as a weapon, I want to say, since Dawson Knox, but we didn't really use Dawson Knox. So maybe Evan Ingram, maybe a bigger Evan Ingram as the way he's set up. And because of that, linebackers are going to have to take him seriously. To go with the slot receiver, that is Jalen Knox. You're going to see a lot of mesh concepts. You're going to see them attack the space behind the linebackers. In between the hash marks, behind the linebackers. Between the tight end and the slot receiver, they are going to run different concepts to make sure that they can't go up and attack the run, who, by the way, future former number 1 in the country running back is lining up behind center as well. So you've got Trigg, you've got Jalen Knox, and you've got Zach Evans. And that is a heck of a triangle for the middle of the field. Now, everybody is worried about outside wide receiver, and we have Jordan Watkins. I mean, he was a top 10 receiver in the ACC and a good player. But when it comes to wide receivers, I'm not overly concerned about it. We've recruited very well. There's 4 stars upon 4 stars upon 4 stars, and everybody's like, well, last year there was a hole here. Last year does not matter. Every offseason, a receiver takes a significant jump, especially a true freshman receiver. The biggest jump happens between the first and the second game. What also comes between the first and the second year. And players like Brandon Buckhalter, Braylon Brown, J.J. Henry, they're going to be more ready for prime time than they were last year. That's just the way they are. That's just the way this works. Everybody thinks, if you're a fan, and this is the funniest thing in the world, if you're looking at another team like Alabama, it has their wide receiver room is completely, absolutely depleted. And the answer to that is Alabama is recruited well. They will be fine. Your recruiting room is depleted. Wide receiver room is depleted. Your answer is, oh my goodness, we'll never be able to run anything again. And that's just fan bases. That's just the way people watch the game. I mean, it's very interesting about that. But that is the concern going into spring. It's no longer the Jaxson Dart. Although the Jaxson Dart and Luke Altmaier thing, we're going to talk about this dang near every day. So get ready for that. We're going to talk about this quarterback competition all the way until the day they're named, which will probably be the Troy game in September. Now, Zach Evans, we assume they're going to be fine. Kentrell Bullock as the backup. I think Quinshon Judkins has a chance to be an absolute star. People worrying about redshirting don't. None of these players are planning on being here more than 3 years, and if they are, they're going to transfer out and try and get better playing time because in 3 years, this didn't work. Ole Miss has just become a short-term fix or the answer to a short-term fix. It's only 4 years total, or 5 years to play for. Now, if you look at it like that, if Ole Miss can either be your shining knight to transfer out of, or your first choice, that's a good place to be in. Because the way it's set up right now with the transfer portal is you want to finish in the top 2 in high school recruiting. It doesn't necessarily matter if you win the high school recruiting battle. You want to be in the top 2. So whenever it goes wrong or whatever is happening, they automatically remember you. Sounds silly, but that's the way it is. That worked with Zach Evans. that worked with Michael Trigg. There's players all over that Ole Miss was the second choice, that after it didn't work out at their first choice, which it might be a business decision, who knows, they transferred to where they probably wanted to be to begin with. Now, Ole Miss, as we both know, the campus is absolutely gorgeous. The campus is gorgeous. The facilities are fantastic. Everything about University of Mississippi is exactly what you want to be. Some inner city schools just can't match that. And walking around campus, you get a different feeling than you might get at LSU. Nothing against LSU. It's just the way the campus is set up and what's going on. You can walk from one building to another. Like on one building is at one end of the campus, the other is the other. You can walk it. There's no need for a bus system, and you can do it in the time in between classes. So all of these are selling points for Ole Miss, and it's also the reason, in my opinion, that Oxford can fall behind a little bit when it comes to wanting to decide whether or not it wants to be a town or a city. It's kind of in that gray area right now, and because of that, you basically have an overcrowded town without the infrastructure to handle that number of people. But to commit to city means you lose a little bit of that charm that makes Oxford so great to begin with. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. So as somebody that lived in Oxford, I can see it both ways. For people not knowing how to drive in a roundabout, that's something I just don't know. So that's the offense position-wise, what you go. Schematically, I think they're going to try and work the middle of the field. You're going to see a lot of in-between the hash mark type work, and you're going to especially see behind the linebackers if Michael Trigg is healthy and good to go for spring training. You'll see them do that. You're going to see Jaxson Dart probably struggle a little bit. Now, remember, he's a true freshman with 6 games in his system. Luke Altmaier is a true freshman with 2 games in the system. There's not much difference between one or the other. They're both really talented kids, and they're going to compete for the starting job. Now, if it's a tie, Jaxson Dart is going to win. Understand that. Luke Altmaier has to win the job. He can't be even on the job. You don't get a 5-star quarterback to transfer in without things being said in the recruiting process, that unless Ole Miss wants to be known as somebody that doesn't follow through on their word, they have to. So just know the way it's set up, most likely Jaxson Dart, tie, he's going to win. If there's a tie, he'll be the quarterback. Luke Altmaier is going to have to win the job. Like flat out, obviously win the job, and that's fine. So it's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure to include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to resolution because it tastes so good. You'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it's just so boring. By week 3, you're thinking, man, this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Well, Built Bars are 100% chocolate. So here's an idea for the new year. Go to all your secret treat stashes, at home, in the pantry, at the office, in the car, wherever. Throw out all the sugary, calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bars. So when you're craving a treat or snack, you can reach for something that's healthy and tastes incredible. So even if you're not a huge fan of working out, at least you can eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way, when you're done, you can almost count it as a workout. And there's so many flavors to choose from. Coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, and many, many more. In fact, Built is always coming out with new limited time flavors. So check out Built.com often to see what's new. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, we talked about the offense. We talked about why I think this is the best Ole Miss signing class in history. Give me your opinion below in the comments. Our question of the day is, what is your favorite signing class in Ole Miss history? You can either shoot me a text at TheStephenWillis on Twitter. I can read it there, or you can leave a comment down below on the YouTube page as well. And I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing. When you think about it, best signing classes ever. 97 as far as favorites come to mind with Deuce and Romero, and I think Terrence Metcalf and those guys coming in and really resurrecting the program. You've got I think it was 2000 class or 99 class that had Bill Flowers, and like Eli was involved in there, and you know Chris Collins and those guys coming on board. You've got the offensive line class that was like Chris Spencer and Doug Buckles. You've got Coach O's classes with like Marcus Tillman and Jonathan Cornell and those guys coming through. But I think this class is the best class to ever come through Ole Miss. Now, we've seen a final reckoning of those classes. And then that makes complete sense. We have not seen a final reckoning in this class. There's several that have multiple years of eligibility. There's several that are grad transfers, like Troy Brown, who transferred from Central Michigan to play linebacker. 3-time all-conference player at linebacker. Just transferred in for his last year. He's a replacement for Chance Campbell. Now, the one miss right now that we need is a rush-in. And I say that because this weekend, Jared Ivey, a 6'6", 275-pound rush-in, was on campus. This is a big, big man. I mistakenly referred to him as a 6'6", 225 guy because I was going off the 247 website, but he was 275. And if you look at his highlights, he's a big man. And you could have a situation where him, Xavier Harris, and Tywan Malone are on the field at the same time, to where Tywan Malone is the smallest guy there at 6'3". That could wreak a little bit of havoc in the pass game. And with the edge rushing, with Cedric Johnson, everything going on, it's going to provide max versatility with this defensive line. And linebacker, you have Troy Brown, and we'll see what happens. I know they really like Austin Keys. I know they really like Jaron Willis. Jack Brown is going to make a jump. Brandon Mack is going to be healthy again. I'm interested to see the linebacker. There's only 2 positions. It's a 3-2-6 for a reason. So it's 3 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 6 defensive backs. And if you look at the defensive backs, especially the safeties, they have a chance to be really special, dude. Really, really special. You got Tysheem Johnson and Isheem Young potentially playing the box safeties. That's basically 2 hybrid outside linebackers that the reason you look at it and it's like, hey, this is a 5-man box or a 4-man box, and it's not really like that, is because of these box safeties that are coming down so hard along with the deep safety as well. So where they start on the field is just a little bit different than the way you think of defense. Remember, we've had that conversation about Chuck Driesbach and the 4-2-5. Now the 4-2-5 is all over the NFL. Well, the 3-2-6 is essentially the 4-2-5 and replace the 3 technique with another defensive back. I mean, that is the personnel-wise the way that looks. And because of it, they use the rules of football that's been around for 100 years against the offense. Don't throw against your body. As soon as you go out and start rolling out to the right, the middle linebacker is running after the quarterback. Going to vacate that zone, and you have a chance to go. So, should be a lot of fun. Ladarius Tennyson, really, really excited to see him. Really physical player as well from Auburn. Another 4-star. Isheem Young, a 4-star. Troy Brown, I think, is a 3-star, but like I said, 3-time all-conference player. Jared Ivey, if and when he commits, we'll have to wait and see a little bit later on today if he made it to campus. He's a 4-star as well. So you can see the defensive personnel and what they're building. It's pretty cool. I expect Ole Miss to sign before this season as close to 32 as possible. They have 32 initials. Lane Kiffin is using it to turn over his roster. There's a lot of players that were recruited to Mike McIntyre and Wesley McGriff's systems. Phil Longo recruited guys. You can kind of get rid of them and bring in your guys, your hand-picked guys for what you want to do. And that's what we're doing offensively, and that's what we're doing defensively. I am curious about a kicker. That is probably My one question leading into this is kicking, because I don't know of any situation in history where I didn't know actually worked. I don't expect his appeal to work. I expect him to be out until next November. So if that's the case, a kicker's probably needed. So pay attention to that, especially on the grad transfer market. I would imagine 1 year would be his goal, and they just would redshirt Caden Costa. But raise expectations. Absolutely raise expectations going into the season. You were thinking 75, 8-4. Think 9-3 or 10-2. Possible New Year's 6. This team is being constructed in a very positive way. I like the coaches that hung around. I am curious to see what the defense looks like. It's, like I said, it doesn't matter where coaches go. It doesn't matter where these players went. It matters who's here. And the fact of the matter is, Lane Kiffin has proven he can hire. There's no reason to doubt that. And there's no reason to doubt that he knows what he's doing in the portal. As the number one portal class in the country, gets the notoriety it deserves. They finished 23rd or 24th in recruiting, just regular high school kids, even signing that few players. That means their average stars are actually probably pretty good. But mix that with the portal, and you've got a nice, exciting cocktail. I'm really looking forward to it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Tomorrow we will continue to go down this road and get ready for spring football and what could be an exciting season. We also have baseball, and we're going to start working on interviews to bring in as well. The question of the day is, what is your favorite Ole Miss football signing class? Put the comments down below, or on my Twitter page at @TheStephenWillis. Just shoot me a tweet with that at @TheStephenWillis and let me know why and who and what is your favorite Ole Miss football signing class. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Man, this has been a heck of a weekend. Everything's going. Thank you so much for going. Remember, subscribe, hit the bell, and of course, upvote the video as well. And we'll see you tomorrow. Hotty toddy.